Good evening and welcome to MetroFocus. I'm Jack Ford. A fall from grace for Joe Percoco, Dean Skelos, also Sheldon Silver. All once prominent New York lawmakers, all found guilty of corruption and convicted of breaking the law. MetroFocus contributor and managing editor of WMHT's New York Now, Matt Ryan, has the latest on Silver as he prepares for his sentencing tomorrow.
Hi, Jack. It's been 3.5 years since the news broke of Sheldon Silver's indictment. It sent shockwaves throughout the Capitol. The Manhattan Democrat was approaching the record for longest-serving Assembly Speaker in New York State history. He was regarded by many as the most powerful person in Albany, and yes, that includes any governor he served with. But in 2018, he's been almost forgotten. His name rarely mentioned in the hallways of the Capitol. The same goes for the former Republican leader of the Senate, Dean Skelos, himself arrested on corruption charges 4 months after his fellow legislative leader. Both were tried, found guilty, had their convictions overturned, and then tried again with the same result. Now, surely you would expect swift action to be taken by the governor and both chambers after such a shocking double downfall like this. After all, the arrest of one legislator casts a bad shadow on every lawmaker. But the legacy of their downfall, right now at least, is silence. No major anti-corruption legislation has been passed by either political party in power at the Capitol. Not for lawmakers, nor has there been any additional oversight of the governor's economic development programs, which have come under scrutiny since the conviction of his former top aide, Joe Percoco, and arrests and then guilty verdicts in the Buffalo Billion trial, including the former head of the SUNY Polytechnic Institute, Dr. Elaine Colieros. To be fair, there have been bills proposed by the minority conference in each chamber, including Senate Democrats. Now, if they gain control after the November elections, which many think is possible, we can see if they offer up the same bills. But with the legislature gone for the rest of the year, there is little chance that happens. So despite the arrests and convictions of all of these individuals in the last 3 years, including Sheldon Silver, who now awaits his sentencing, the response from Albany has been deafening silence. In Albany, for MetroFocus, I'm Matt Ryan.
Governor Cuomo's two-term tenure has coincided with this string of corruption trials. Might normally, you would think, result in some increased scrutiny come re-election time. But the issue of corruption appears to be one the governor is brushing off. When pressed on the matter by journalists recently, he stated that, quote, "There has never been a suggestion that I did anything wrong." Despite calls from watchdog groups, the governor and lawmakers have failed to adopt proposed measures which would toughen state oversight of state contracts and appoint an independent monitor for ethics and election laws. Why? Well, it's a bit puzzling, and for that we turn to Blair Horner, the executive director of the New York Public Interest Research Group, a nonpartisan watchdog, hopefully for some thoughts and answers on that. Blair, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
The notion of corruption in Albany is something that's been floated for literally decades.
That's right.
Indeed, it's become a punchline for some comedians here. With that as a backdrop, are you surprised by the number of actual convictions we've seen take place within the last couple of years?
Well, I've been working in Albany since 1984. And so the corruption, you're absolutely right, has been a problem forever. And it's sort of like gravity, almost a force of nature in the way politics gets done. But I've never seen anything like what's happened in the most recent, let's say, 5 years or so. When U.S. Attorney Preparara, former U.S. Attorney Preparara, decided to focus on Albany, he has brought a number of cases, dozens, literally dozens of cases to a head. And the high-profile ones that you just mentioned, the top leaders in the legislature, top aides to the governor, nothing like this has ever happened. And it's astonishing to me that there's been so little reaction from either the executive or the legislature on what should be done.
Why do you think that is? Let's start with the executive, and then we'll get to the legislature. Why do you think there has been, but most people agree, has been very little reaction on the part of the governor, the governor's office?
Well, you know, now we're speculating a little bit. You know, we get into our pop psychology sort of approach to it. I think that they've made a political calculation that they're not going to pay a price for not doing anything.
Because, again, we should reinforce what the governor said. Nothing has targeted him at all. It's been legislators here.
That's right.
It's important, important that we keep that in mind.
None of the leaders have been implicated, the current leaders. Right. This is the last bunch that went off, and the governor's top aides. But they are, it's one of those things, I think, where they're looking not to add too much oxygen to the fire. The governor knows he's going to hear from his challengers. The Republican challenger, the independent challenger in particular, have really been very forceful on the issue of corruption. Even his primary challengers talked about it as an issue. But the governor, I think, and the legislative leaders are not willing to add oxygen to that fire. And by not talking about it, other issues intrude. There's all of the antics that go down in Washington to distract the public from what's going on in Albany. And I think they're just sort of hoping that the storm will blow by and no one will have to pay for a price.
What are some of the proposals that have been floated that you think, from your perspective, are things that the legislature and indeed the governor should be looking at?
I mean, in a normal functioning democracy, there would be hearings, proposals would be advanced. I mean, we've looked at things, and given, as you mentioned, the former Speaker of the Assembly, former Senate Majority Leader, top aides to the governor, there's no one silver bullet to this, right? There's a lot of problems across the board. And while the governor's right that he hasn't been implicated in anything, he's wrong to say that therefore nothing should happen. Because how could you have a system where those crimes occurred and it takes federal prosecutors to come in and deal with it? So we've argued for proposals to strengthen the hand of the state comptroller. New York has a separately elected comptroller in its constitution. Why? Is that the New Yorkers want an independent fiscal watchdog. The governor comes in 2011, trims the powers back of the comptroller, operates through these sort of secret, quasi-secret, quasi-government agencies to do his economic development, and voila, we've had corruption. And so you need to end the secrecy, you need to enhance accountability, you need to enhance independent oversight on the contracting side. On the legislative side of the problem, the issues really there are about using your public office for your private gain. We need an independent ethics watchdog, limits on outside income, and some campaign finance changes, just as a beginning start for all of those issues.
Well, as always, our conversations with you always provide us something to think about and something to focus on. Our hope is we'll get you back soon, and we'll see if any of these things are happening.
Fingers crossed.
In the near term. Blair, always good to see you. You be well.
Thank you.